Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Get in the Herd, McShin Recovery Resource Foundation's award-winning recovery podcast. I am your host today, Nathan Mitchell. I always forget to introduce myself. I just make assumptions, don't I, Justin?
You do. It's okay, though. I think we all know who you are by now. But
Oh,
still.
my goodness. I don't know who I am, so please tell me. Today, I am so grateful to have with us Sue Polston, who runs an organization in Asheville, North Carolina. She's the executive director of the Sunrise Community for Recovery and Wellness. I visited with Sue just a little over a year ago on my Recovery Across America, or we were calling it Addiction Across America tour at that time. Welcome to the show, Sue. It's really great to have you here. I understand there's been a lot that's gone on for the organization since I saw you last. So tell us, what's going on in your world?
Everything. Well, since a year ago, we've grown tremendously. We were already on a pretty uphill growth when we were meeting, and it's over doubled since then. So we've just in the last 6 months, we've had 133% increase in staff. You're right. We've had we went from 7 programs to 11 programs, and things are just chaotically amazing.
Oh, I'm taking that. Chaotically amazing. I want to use that. Well, so tell us, what is the mission of the Sunrise Community for Recovery and Wellness? What is y'all's focus? How do you help the next sick and suffering?
So our actual mission statement is our mission is to empower individuals in the community to overcome and manage substance use and or mental health challenges. So we are super focused and passionate around recovery for substance use, for mental health, for both, and just overall wellness. And we're super passionate that, if there's a million people in recovery, then there's a million different ways to recover, and it looks a million different ways. So we are, we're on the path of all paths.
I got to tell you, I enjoyed meeting with you last year, and I met your daughter too. Your daughter, right? I believe that was. And I know you guys were closed down, which it was. You were one of the first places I visited on the entire trip. So I was early on the East Coast, and leaving you till I got all the way back to Richmond, going around the country. I think there was another probably 45, 48 days in that space. And so there was a lot that happened to me, and I'm sure to you. I know, and of course, since last year, I know that we have, felt the impact of COVID, certainly, but we've also felt the impact of, felt the impact of the recovery community coming together to really continue and to fight to continue our programming. So I know that you were still doing things. We have recovery residences. So a big part of our mission is to ensure that, we have housing for people. And, we were able to keep the doors open the entire time during the pandemic. We adapted, we accommodated, but we still kept the doors open and made sure that we could bring people in. I know you did that too, but you had to adapt as well. How did you have to adapt, and how have you continued to adapt for your new programming?
Sure. So, for example, our recovery drop-in center was shut down. We are located inside the United Way building, so we had to follow their lead. Unfortunately, the United Way is still closed to the public to this day. However, our recovery center is open. We just meet folks at the door and then walk them in. But what I will say about our team is, I'm pretty sure it was like March 16th was the day that everything just kind of shut down. And we closed the recovery center. We closed our peer-operated respite house. And within 3 days, we knew nothing about how to do Zoom, or if we did, it was very little. But we're almost pros at this point, because within 3 days, we were able to shift all of our normal programming, all of our peer-led groups or 12-step groups that are on our schedule, we were able to throw that onto Zoom. And so we are still doing that. Actually, we're doing like a hybrid. So you can be in person or on Zoom. And so that was a huge thing that happened. And, I don't know, when COVID first hit, I swore, I was like, whew, I'm going to get a break. I'm going to be able to lay down and watch TV and chips. And I'm still waiting for that moment.
You've had a long year as well. Congratulations on new staff. That's pretty amazing. What are you all doing? So you're doing the Zoom meetings. How are you all meeting people where they're at? So people can still come to the center, but they can only come to the front door. Is that what I understand?
They come to the front door. We have a little doorbell on one of the doors that they can, if they don't have a phone. Otherwise, they would just call the center, and we would meet them at the door and walk them into our office space.
Okay.
That's just the recovery center. So another big thing that happened was we ramped up in our outreach. We did outreach here and there, or one location per week. Once COVID hit, and we knew, we still had folks unsheltered and on the streets, and they needed our attention too. We just ramped up the outreach effort, and I don't have that number right in front of me, but that had increased significantly. For some numbers, here's an example. 2 years ago, Sunrise had 11,000 episodes of peer support. So let me back that up just a second. We just celebrated our 5th year with the doors open.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks. We had a big birthday event. It was really cool. So 2 years ago, we had a total from day one till 2 years ago, 11,000 episodes of peer support. This past 1 year has been 24,000 episodes of peer support. So that's just, that's like mind blowing to even say, but we another newer program for us that increased the amount of staff that we do have is we are working closely with the city of Asheville and contracting with them, and we are staffing a shelter, aka hotel rooms. We had an enormous amount of unsheltered folks in campsites, and it increased when COVID happened. And so the city was trying to do something. They asked Sunrise, can you do this? I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. And so we're actually staffing 24/7, 2 different hotel locations at the moment. We're in the process of consolidating just to the one. And with bigger plans and bigger picture ideas of having our county having a low barrier shelter or high access shelter. So that's in the works, and we are hoping that Sunrise will be able to continue that staffing and run that operation as well. That's the plan anyways.
Well, that sounds amazing. For our individuals who may not know, and maybe clarification for myself as well, when you say low barrier or high access shelter, what does that mean, Sue?
So basically, right now we have shelters in our area. They require ID. They require you to take a breathalyzer. They require you to separate from your family. They don't allow animals. The things like that. So the high access shelter is just that. So for example, right now, some of the folks we have in the hotel is, they were able to bring their pets. So there was pet rooms, and couples were able to stay together in the same room. Some couples have actually had babies now too. So, the family, we're not requiring them to be abstinent. We're not also encouraging them to use while they're there. There obviously are some types of guidelines in place. However, the ultimate goal is to really just like show the way and work with our folks to learn different skills that they may not have, or maybe relearn skills that they forgot. And the ultimate big picture goal is for permanent housing. So Yeah.
That's a beautiful goal. Sounds to me, excuse me. Sounds to me, though, not though, sounds to me that's really a very compassionate approach. That's the very definition of meeting people where they're at, from what I'm hearing. And there's a big um, shame game that even people in recovery can still play when we're trying to help people. It's like, well, you can't stop doing that, so we can't help you anymore. And I having been a house leader, in the where I work, of course, I have sort of been getting a better understanding of harm reduction and a better understanding of compassionate care and what that means and how that means for me and how I interact with people who are still using, or may still want to continue to use. It's just a matter of this is a person, and I'm going to love that person regardless of that person, what they're doing. And it doesn't have to affect my recovery. That's the part I've learned, is that if somebody else is, using, that doesn't mean I have to change what I'm doing for my recovery. So what are you doing for your recovery? How has your recovery been affected by the pandemic, by all these changes that are going on at work? And how are you maintaining your recovery while providing access to other people?
That is a really great question. So, for example, I have a vacation coming up. I am going to completely disconnect for 2 weeks. I recently realized I haven't taken any real time off, probably since Christmas. And so, it's been a struggle. I haven't been perfect at it. A lot of my team hasn't been perfect at it, but what we are doing is showing up, just being real and honest and saying, look, I can't do this today. Like I just can't. And then, we have supports surrounding us that just hop in and when we're still getting it done. It's been heartbreaking to see and hear about others in our own community, and I'm sure it's in every community, the burnout, the fatigue, and not have been able to take care of themselves. So just knowing about that and hearing about it has put like a healthy fear in my head, and just so what I'm doing for my recovery is I'm continuing to show up no matter what. I'm being really authentic and honest in where I'm at, and some days I am not that well. I don't know. And there's definitely been an increase. There's an increase in services. There's an increase in the severity of the needs of our folks, and I'm just really truly grateful for the my support network, because it's taken a village to maintain my recovery through all this. It's been rough. This last 16, I've lost count. It just is the new normal now, but it's been a minute and it's been rough.
Yeah. You've had some challenges that I asked you. I hope this is okay to talk about. When I got to Atlanta shortly after I left you, and I didn't actually stop in Atlanta. I just drove through Atlanta, which is enough. You fly through Atlanta, you drive. But I stopped and at a truck stop to use the restroom and whatnot, and I got a message from my father. And my father is in Southwest Florida, down in Naples, and he texted me and said, and I I love my dad, and sometimes he listens to the show. My relationship with my father is a very challenging relationship, and still, and it's one thing in my recovery that I'm working on still. But anyway, the point of that, he told me, and I don't think I'd spoken to him in a while, but when he reached out to me, he told me that he had tested positive for COVID, and at that moment, I had purposely not gone into Florida. I was in Atlanta. So, if I was ever going to go to Florida, that would be the point where I would start going further south. But my next stop after Atlanta, it was Montgomery and then New Orleans. And I sat there for a minute, kind of spinning in the car, probably walked around for a bit too, and literally spun, because I wasn't sure what to do, knowing that if my father's down there alone, he has a girlfriend, and I think she wasn't available at that time. She was she was doing something else, so she wasn't around. So he was by himself, and I thought, well, shoot, am I going to cut this trip short and drive down there and possibly take care of him? He's in his 60s. He has diabetes. He's had 2 heart attacks. These are the things to consider. And I had to sit there, and I'm grateful that my sister, who at the time lived in Texas, I called her and I'm like, what are we doing here? And I made the decision to just continue driving around until I got to Texas, knowing that if something did happen, at least I could meet with her and we could drive together. But also, there was nothing I could do. Driving to Naples to be with my dad, I can't be with him. I'm going to have to stay. There's nothing. I'm not a doctor. I don't have the magical cure for COVID. And it was a scary moment. It's a scary moment for me. And as it turned out, he did come through and he's okay now. But I know that you've had a challenge with that. And I know that shortly after I left you, your father passed away. How has that, affected you and your recovery and really the family? And what have you done since then?
So actually, it was like August 8th was a year ago that my father did pass. So probably around exactly a year ago, he was admitted into the hospital. He was in his 70s. Yeah. And he went to the hospital for something else, right? He had just had some kind of heart monitor put in, and he was having difficulties with that. So he went back into the hospital, and he caught COVID in the hospital after he was there for a couple of weeks. And so that was challenging. It was extremely challenging because there was absolutely nothing you can do. You're completely freaking powerless, and you just had to sit and wait. I got to say goodbye to my dad on Zoom, and from his hospital bed, which I didn't even know that was like that moment. I kind of felt like, oh crap, is this that moment? And he chose not to be on a ventilator because the doctor couldn't promise that he would come off of it. So he decided not to do that. And so for the week or so afterwards, me and my sisters went to his house and cleaned up. And he was a person in recovery himself. So he was AA strong in 30 plus years in sobriety. And so he's kind of been, more than just my dad. He's kind of just been like somebody I looked up to, and as far as like, okay, recovery does work. And so, to be honest, I just worked right through it. So it took us about a week to go through all his things. He was like I wouldn't say hoarder, but he was a procrastinator and all these things. So he had wall-to-wall papers and anywho's, for a whole week, we emptied his stuff. And then the following week, I went back to work. And honestly, it's been a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to my coworker and my friend, a big support of mine, Jackie. And I said, I just realized, like, I've never stopped long enough to really grieve or process or any of that. So that was a eye opener and a light bulb for me. Like, you need to slow down. Like, this work that you're doing is amazing and it's nonstop. But you also need to take a step back and just process stuff, because I'm just staying busy and I don't know. But
well, you said you have vacation time coming up. What is your plan for the vacation time?
So I grew up mostly in Florida. I was born in New York. We moved to Florida when I was 12. I grew up there, went to high school there, all that good stuff in Central Florida and in Daytona area. But I've never been to Miami somehow. So we're going to Pompano Beach. We're going to stay right on the beach, and everything's already ready except for the date. August 2nd, we're going to be flying on out. And yeah, going to the beach for 6 days, 6 nights, something like that. And then I'm going to come back and spend another week plus doing not work stuff.
That sounds fantastic.
Yes.
I can tell you, I've been to Miami, and that strip where they have all the deco hotels and that is some of the most that's some of the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. Well, certainly one of the most beautiful places I've been to anyway. And the excitement and the music and the people and the food and the this and the that, and I'm already dancing a little bit in my seat just thinking about it, So cool. That'll be a great little vacation. If you're flying down there, you're gonna have a car.
We are. Yeah, we've rented a car. It'll be ready for us when we get off the plane, and because we figured, Pompano Beach and then Fort Lauderdale and Miami, we want to see and do it all. And Uber just didn't seem like a good idea. So yes, we're rented a car.
I have not been all the way down to the Keys, but and to get to the Keys, you go from right below Miami. But I have been to, and I'm going to mispronounce it because it's either Isla Mirada or Isla Mirada. It's right at the beginning of the Keys. And I love that. It was this little hole. Well, it was a bar. I was drinking at the time, so maybe this wasn't the best idea.
I was about to say the one time I've been to Miami, I don't remember being there.
Well, I'm the voice of Justin over here. I did do some destructive stuff in Miami, but I did walk around and do some good stuff, and I had good food there too.
I remember I keyed some guy's Lamborghini because
wow.
I ended up taking pictures of it, and I woke up the next morning and was like, "Oh no!"
Did you do that on purpose?
I think so.
Oh my god!
Well, it was right after I had just graduated college, and somehow I got a $2,000 grant, like the second to last day I was in school. And I didn't need to use it anymore for school because I had already graduated. So Miami. And we just kind of did whatever. I mean, we did a lot of gambling. I had a friend that lived down there who I was in school with. So we went and stayed with his family. And we ended up at a casino somewhere, and there was just all these super nice cars parked out in the parking lot. And I was just like, I got keys, let's do this. And I mean, it was this super, super nice, like brand new yellow Lamborghini. And
if you're driving a yellow Lamborghini, you probably deserve it.
If you're driving a yellow Lamborghini, I feel like you can afford the repairs to the paint job.
Oh my God. Look at us taking everybody else's inventory.
Yeah, right.
I hope the owner of that yellow Lamborghini don't watch this show.
Hey, they can't see my face, so.
Hey, hit me up later in the comments. I've got his address. I'll let you know. That's a crazy story. I don't have any really giant crazy stories in Miami. I wasn't there for very long. I lived across the Naples, which is on the Gulf Coast, around the same latitude. Latitude is her south to east. Yeah, right. Okay, whatever. Right around. You take Alligator Alley to get to Fort Lauderdale from Naples, which is a really cool drive. Scary as heck at night, by the way. But I lived on the other side there, and I never really went to Miami because I knew I had a problem at the time, and I knew that would probably exacerbate the problem. But anyway, so you're going to take a vacation. You're going to come back. What's next for you? What is the next growth step for Sunrise?
Growth step for Sunrise. I'd like to say we are in the process of, so we grew a little bit too rapidly without the capacity. So I was always like, yeah, let's do this without, so we have gone through growing pains and have learned lots of new experiences through this. So we are actually in the moment, we're in this working on the solution to fix that, and hoping to acquire funding. It sounds pretty good. To get some of our infrastructure staff in place so that Sue doesn't have to do, we have nearly just about 50 employees, and I was still doing HR, and I was still doing all the things with my my coworker Jackie, I mean, we kind of co-directed everything, but we were doing like all the things. She was originally the operations director. Now she's our finance director, and we've just this week placed a new operations director, and I hope to get and I hate this word, and maybe somebody can come up with a better title, but an executive assistant, because so I'm hoping to get help, support, and so I'm feeling really good about the future, because there was an issue, we're in the solution. And, here we are. And so hopefully with the right players in place, taking this, we have an HR person now. And so I'm excited. I'm excited.
An HR person in the recovery sphere, that almost sounds too good to be true to me anyway. I know my chief operating officer, he sort of does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and well, actually he does a lot of that and a lot of this and a lot of that. You mentioned having a relationship with the city of Asheville. How have you maintained those relationships with Asheville, and do you have or do you plan to have relationships with the state? And how do you do your advocacy work that you need to do to maintain, well, the funding, but also to just maintain the space, to keep in the space, and have those relationships with the municipality or the city, and ensuring that you can do the work you do, but also being authentic to the peers coming in off the street. What's the balance there for you?
So we do have the city of Asheville is our most newest partner, if you would. We have really good relationship with North Carolina DHS. Our recovery community organization funds through the substance use block grant comes from them through the state level. And so we actually are a regional RCO, which means we oversee half the state for other recovery community centers and identify and open new ones. So that's going to be something that we're going to be working on through the end of this year, is identifying 3 new recovery community centers that we can not only provide technical support to, but have some funding through that block grant funding that trickles down to us, and then we give to them, which is a full circle moment for Sunrise, because that's how Sunrise's doors opened 5 years ago, right? There was RCNC over in the Raleigh area, and they gave us a $50,000 grant, which opened our doors. And then here we are as a RCO being able to do that for others. So it's really exciting. I don't know how, we maintain and continue to grow our relationships. I just know one thing, like I said, I continue to show up no matter what. I remain authentic and true in everything that I do. And if that means I say, I'm really sorry, it was my mistake, how can we fix this? Or, just owning, just living the life of recovery in every aspect of my day-to-day dealings with anyone.
Yeah.
And so to remain, it's been in some of our programs, we're inside the jail. We have a medication assisted treatment program within our county jail, and we have 2 peers that are in the jail and in the community for that one. We're also in the health department with the syringe services program. So we have the harm reduction piece there, and we actually work with the city to there's containers, the disposals, syringe disposal containers set up throughout the city. So we also oversee that and empty those. And so we do things that aren't necessarily like, oh, that's not peer support. Yes, it can be peer support, and this is how. So there's been a lot of education and advocacy and just, maintaining our roots of authentic peer support.
That's so you said you've got 50 staff now. That's amazing. What do you see is the next? Well, actually, let me ask a different question. So I am involved with the Recovery Advocacy Project, the National Recovery Advocacy Project. I'm also involved with the Virginia Recovery Advocacy Project, our state affiliate. I know Oh, her name is blanking. Amy Greer, I think. Greer? Oh, darn it. I'm blanking on her name. I can picture her face too. With the North Carolina Recovery Advocacy Project. Do you have any ties with them? I know I'm kind of asking this out of left field here, but do you work with them at all? Have you met with anybody from that?
I feel like I have. Is that the is it the blue background with the logo, and then they're in each state, and it kind of yep, that's him. Yes, yes, and I wish I had more time and more capacity to do more and be involved more. I did go to one of the North Carolina listening sessions that they had, and those are the things that I want to be able to focus on, and that's my excitement and hope that once we get a lot of stuff off of my plate, I can do this executive director kind of stuff.
I love that. Well, you're a powerhouse, Sue. I want to we're gonna cut a little bit early today, and I wanted to say, I wanted to ask, do you have anything that you want to share with us that I haven't already asked about, or anything that and I'll keep in mind. So one of the things that we do with this program, and this is my absolute favorite thing that we do, we take with this program, I mean, we take these broadcasts and we convert it to a podcast and we put it out through Spotify and Amazon and Google and whatever else. But we also give it freely to Paytel, and Paytel distributes that to I think we're up to 48 different jails or prisons throughout the country who put this material on the tablets that the inmates have, so they can access this material for free. Yeah, right. It's my absolute favorite. So while I ask that question, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Think that these are the people who are listening and actually are probably our biggest audience.
Yeah, this is where my passion really lies, because this is where my lived experience. I have tons of lived experience of incarceration and probation and drug court and all the things. I have, as a matter of fact, in our county, there's a recovery campaign, and it finally has come to fruition, and we have posters. We did a photo shoot. There's like 10 of us that have previously been incarcerated, and it's all over the jail. So these posters with our faces, with our mug shots and our now shots and our little write-up, for example, it's in my trunk. Otherwise I'd read it to you. But for example, mine has like 30 plus arrests, domestic violence, unhealthy relationships, homeless, and all these things. And then it says, executive director at Sunrise, drug court graduate, homeowner, things like that. And so that's something that's been pretty powerful around our county here at the moment, because the whole point was we want folks that are in jails and stuff to know that it is real. Recovery does happen. It can happen. And they too can be successful. Like, before I was incarcerated, as a matter of fact, Saturday will be 8 years since I was last criminally charged and incarcerated. So I'll be celebrating my 8 years in recovery. And I stayed in jail for that last time. I stayed there for about 4.5 months. Then I did 90 days in treatment. Then I swore into drug court or treatment court, or they're still using the drug court language here, but just since then, the life that I live now is I never thought to be an executive director. I didn't think I would, I just wanted to be happy, and I wanted to have, I wanted to own my home, and I wanted to have my kids back. That's a huge one for me. I went tons and tons and tons of years, so it felt like, without my children due to my addiction and all that. And I've had full custody back of them for the last 5 years. So it's possible. Like, before I went to jail, I remember sitting there ripping and running, and I thought, I accepted it. I accepted that I was just going to be like this, that there was no hope, because like for 12 years, I was in and out of jail, in and out of recovery, in and out of outpatient and inpatient and all the things, that I got to the point where I was like, well, this just doesn't work. This ain't going to work for me. That's okay. I'll just, keep doing this. And maybe one day my kids might want to talk to me once they're 18. And I accepted that. I can really feel and remember that moment when I was like, this is the life I'm going to live until I die. And my universe, my higher power, seen different for me and swooped me up into jail and kept me there long enough for my fog to clear. And I sat in that jail cell, and I wrote out affirmations, and I said them every day, 2, 3, 4 times a day. And I promise you, it was front and back page, every single one of those affirmations that I said has come true in reality. I just wanted to be, this is funny, and I wanted to be popular in good ways, because I was really popular in the hood as a booster, and they knew me like, oh, there's the Tide and Gain lady, and there's the toilet paper and paper towel lady, and I was really popular, but I wanted to be popular in a good way, and I never expected it to be like this. So
I love it. I have to go back to something you said there. Is it possible to get arrested in North Carolina for bad relationships? Is that a thing?
I mean, it depends what you do in that relationship, sure.
Because I'm a felon. Oh, Sue, thank you. It's really awesome to catch up with you. And I am sorry about your father. I realize it's been almost a year, but it's been a weird year for everybody. And it's really great to see that you are still doing the things that you do. I know you're making a difference in Asheville. It was good to meet you. I hope to meet you again 50 pounds lighter, because I've gained a lot since I saw you. That's been my challenge during COVID. But I wanted to say thank you again for being here. Thanks for being on the show and for all the work that you do. I do want to say, so we've got the McShin Foundation is celebrating 17 years now. And I'm going to do a quick shout out, because we're celebrating our 17th year this month. And we were able to keep the doors open for 365 days during the pandemic, every single day of the year, every single day, while the jails were releasing people early without a home plan, while our community service boards, which is our governmental behavioral health centers here in Virginia, while those were closing down, while treatment centers were refusing to take people, while emergency departments were barely treating and streeting even, we kept the doors open. And as a result of that, helping to absorb and meet the need, we're struggling. So I'm going to ask and put this out there. Thank you, Justin, for putting that down on the screen. The McShin Foundation is always looking for ways to help invest in recovery. And we know that when we invest in recovery, we're building stronger families. We're creating safer communities. We're producing healthier citizens. And so when you're investing in McShin, you're investing in recovery. And so we hope that if you can put a couple dollars in the kitty, help the next person who's coming from jail, coming from the streets, coming from a bad relationship, trying to get better. Because that first step is really hard. First step is really hard. Thank you again, Sue. It's really awesome to see you. Tell your daughter I said hello.
I will.
Yeah, she won't remember. Oh,
she probably will.
I guess it was kind of out of the blue thing. That beautiful blue shirt that you gave me, yeah. I'm gonna have to come down and get a new one.
Okay, we got even more now.
I ripped the sleeve on it like within a few weeks. I wore it several times. It's very comfortable, and I love that color. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Next week, to everybody watching, next week the Get in the Herd is going to go dark for the week, which means we're going to not have any new episodes next week. We're going to take a little break, and while we do that, we're going to work on some technological issues behind the scenes. We're going to get a little training going on back here so that we got some people cross-trained on some things, but we're going to take a little breather. We've been going strong since the beginning of May with at least three episodes per week, sometimes 4 and 5. while we've been also doing all the other events that we do. Justin's been doing the Breaking the Bondages of Addiction. Is that what it's called?
Breaking the Bondage of Addiction.
Yeah,
yes.
I stumble over words every Sunday. So we're going to take a little breather, kind of regroup, and then we've got some fantastic programming coming in through August. And I still have a mission to program every single day during Recovery Month. So y'all can hold me to that. And Justin's rolling his eyes as I say that. But I think that we've got some ideas going on. So if you have any ideas or thoughts, send it to me. We would love to incorporate some of that. Obviously we want to put out information that's pertinent to everybody. So again, Sue, thank you. Love you. I'll come to Asheville again soon, I hope. Justin, thank you for all the stuff that you do, and for everybody watching and listening. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you in August.
Bye.
Here at McShin, we believe in the McShin way, which is authentic recovery support service providers, people with lived experience, bringing that experience to those who need that lived experience in recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in many things to support our mission. We believe in women empowerment.
What I love most about what we believe here at McShin is we believe in the authenticity of the peer-to-peer approach.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in giving people opportunity.
Here at McShin, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
At the McShin Foundation, we believe in helping people reach their full potential.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in multiple pathways to recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in placing principles before personalities to help spread hope.
Here at McShin, we believe that recovery is possible, and that any person seeking recovery can become a more acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in self-discovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in saving lives and offering second chances.
Here at McShin, we believe you can do this.
Here at McShin Foundation, we believe that we can only keep what we have by giving away, which is why we continue to help others like us seek and find recovery.